So today we have Wei with us. We are going to talk about assessment. Assessment basically it means that assessing whether the student have learned. So if the lesson is very good, right, we can actually feel like wow, we feel very good about it. Like we set a learning goal and then we saw wow, the whole class have learned and we felt good lah. So that's why assessment is very important for teachers. It makes us feel good about ourselves also. So Wei, is there any experience that you had watching other coach or yourself that you noticed that wow, it seems like everybody in the class have learned?
On one of the coaching sessions that I observed, he was teaching under 10 children how to run to space. It's a 5-on-5 games and usually the kids are very close to each other and very crowded and then there's a lot of turnovers happening. So I think he has some teaching points along the way while they are playing, and then the end surprised me because after his training of just a short drill of teaching them to look out for space and run into the space, so they actually run into space and everybody's just looking out for each other and then looking out for spaces to run. So I think just a small drill like this, we can see that children like them can actually learn and think on the spot and then problem solve themselves. I'm quite amazed with that result lah.
Okay, do you remember what did the coach do?
Okay, so the coach started with just letting them play a game. So like an example, end zone game. So they got to pass the ball with each other and then try to reach the end zone to score a point. Yeah, so initially everybody's just very crowded. Some of them are like maybe one or two will be very far from the passer. Some of them are very close to the passer. So he just frees everybody and then he just described the ground. Like, if you are here, are you able to get the ball? If not, then where are the space that you can run to? They know, they just like, oh, over there. Then after that, they let them run off. And I think one very good example that I actually learned from him is that use the passer as like a torchlight. So if the torchlight flash at you and you are the receiver, there's nobody blocking in front, the light can reach you, means you are able to get the ball. But for example, there's a defender in front of you, the light will get blocked, so the attacker actually can't get the ball. So if someone is blocking a line of the light, you need to move to somewhere off the obstruction person so that you are in a line of the light. So I think this is a very good example for the children to visualize. And I think one more thing is that some students, they are far away, so he gave another example. The light sometimes can't flash that far, so you got to come closer to the light so that you can receive the ball. So I think these small things can actually help them a lot.
Okay, thank you for sharing with me the torchlight analogy. I think I will use it the next time I teach basketball. Okay, initially we talk about assessment, right? Suddenly we now talk about like letting students to explore. It seems like we are going off task, but actually I feel it's not, because I think it goes two hands in assessment. Assessment, do people always think that whether the students have learned or not? But if the student cannot learn, if the student don't know what to do, there's so many things to handle. Like the stress, the board, people crowding around me, that I don't know what to do, where's the space. There's so many things to handle, right? The student also blur. Then the more mistake you make, the more they get frustrated. And then the teacher is busy trying to assess if everybody is learning or not. Everybody is struggling. Everybody is not learning. If everybody is not learning, there's nothing to assess. So what the coach did was, he just want to use a very simple thing to let the student figure themselves. Yeah, so he used the torchlight method. A lot of time we always say, wow, the V, if you must support on the left, you support on the right, 45 degrees, form a triangle. What triangles? All these cues, right, only further stress the student out. To us, it feels like, oh, triangle easy, I can understand. But to the student, especially when you're in the game, so messy and so crowded and so fast, right, it's very difficult to form a triangle. So what the coach did was a very simple thing, torchlight. Can you see the light ray or not? If you're not in the light ray, then go to somewhere that the light can shine to you. And so when the student have only one thing to think about, it becomes easier. Then there's nothing to stress them already. There's nothing about whether I'm losing the game, whether I'm winning the game. Sometimes when we ask them to play a game, right, suddenly the opponent trash them so much until they got also stressed out, like, oh, I'm losing, later I'm embarrassed, the coach is going to scold me. But the thing is, if the coach don't care about winning or not, I don't care about whether you're winning or not, I only care about whether you're in the light ray or not, then there's only one thing in the student mind, that is the light ray. That's all I cared about. I don't care about other things. Then it'll be easier already. So I think when everybody start thinking about that, every student start learning, that's when the teachers start to see, I can see people are running, then it's clear already. Maybe still have about 2 or 3 still cannot get it. Then you just focus on that 2 or 3. The rest can self-figure themselves. That will be easier. I feel like assessment is not really about what kind of checklist, videos or what. Those are good tools, but if everybody is not learning, right, it is very difficult to assess, especially when you have a class of 40 students. Yeah, so the important thing about assessment is the task and the learning cues must be so easy for the learner to understand and to follow. So how do you assess your students?
So myself, I think yes, everybody have an objective for the training task, but I think after all, you need to know what's the baseline of the student first when they first enter the class, and then from there, at the end of the drill, you got to look at, is there any progress? Are they doing better? Maybe their pass, their hand, are they bending their knees when they're passing or straightening their elbows to pass? So I think small little things like this is also part of progression, which I think is good to assess as well, because after all, they are still learning. So don't just look at the outcome, but look at the whole progression. If you can see improvement, they are doing something different, they're actually improving already.
I also agree that when we assess, right, it's not about whether they have achieved our expectation, because we really don't know their baseline. I remember teaching this class football where half the class never really had football experience before. So when we ask them to play a 3v3 game, just cannot. They can't even stop the ball, they can't even pass the ball. They are so afraid of the ball that the moment they enter the football pitch, they're already overwhelmed by it. So when I look at it, it's like everybody is disengaged from the lesson. So the first thing we asked them to do was, okay, everybody, we want to see progress. Now I'm not seeing progress. I'm not seeing learning. I'm seeing everybody stressed by football. So now we want to do slow motion Tai Chi football. So we ask everybody to just walk slowly with the ball. And then when they pass slowly. Try to defend as slow as possible. Today we start at the slowest possible pace where you can pass, you can slowly move the ball from one end to the other end. And then lesson by lesson, we want to see improvement. So they walk slowly, really slow, and they still lose the ball, and that's how I realized, okay, they really never used the leg to play any sports before. And then they slowly walk and they slowly move, and then we keep emphasizing, okay, all the defender, let the person have some space, then, slowly move. Then okay, now you go towards a defender, what do? Slowly dribble away from the defender, slowly walk away from the defender. And then lesson by lesson, the walking speed increase. And then they become more confident, right? They start to do things like kicking the ball further, or they try to run for the ball. And we keep telling them, my expectation is not your expectation. Your expectation is what you can do and what you can improve. And that's when they start to realize, actually, it's me, it's not them. Because in the class, there's so many people. Some people have played football since very young. Of course, they can play very well, they can dribble very well. But if I enter the class and I try to compare myself with those person, I can never learn, because it's too daunting already. That person is too good. I can never be as good as that person. But if I know that I play at my level, I don't care about other people, and then I just improve based on my level. Am I moving faster today? Am I going to a better place today to receive the ball? Then I will enjoy the lesson. So that's what we need to tell our student. I like when you say the progress is very important. If we really cannot see, then ask the student to assess themselves.
Yeah, so I agree with you that everybody improve at different speed. Some people will be learning slower. Some people are like, oops, very fast. They know already. You shouldn't have assessed the outcome of your task itself. Yeah, should actually look at what they have learned through that just short lesson itself. I think one more thing I would like to bring out is that we want to create a very safe environment for them. So I think it would be good if we don't compare student A and student B. We should, give them feedback that they can help each other to improve together as a class. I think it's also part of school value that they should care for each other, rather than, I think what you have always mentioned, strong always getting stronger, weak always getting weaker, if they're not helping each other. Yeah, so if you're always helping each other, all the students will be improving together, even though at different speed. So I think it's good that teachers are not comparing them, but letting them have the chance to guide each other and really help to improve each other. When you teach your peers, both parties will actually learn. It's a win-win situation for teachers and students itself.
Yeah, thank you. You add on another strategy called peer teaching. Peer teaching is also another very good assessment strategy, where instead of we trying to assess all 40 students, the students themselves are the assessor. They assess their friend and then they teach their friend. And then one good thing about helping their friend is suddenly nobody is comparing. Actually, if we don't say that, it's a natural tendency for anybody to compare. It's human. So as a teacher, we need to keep reminding the student, I just want to see you improve, because there's 40 students, the student will compare each other. So it's very important where we create that safe environment. Yeah, so thank you so much.